think that's it, huh?
Yeah.
All right. It's boom room time. How's it going?
Woefully unprepared and sick.
Oh, man. And here we
Ah,
go.
hello,
Welcome back.
everybody. Oh, you take it away. You take it away.
Welcome back, everybody, to the 7th episode of the Arcanum Ventures Boom Room, where we discuss all things boom from separate rooms. I'm Sasha. I'm here with my good friend Carmelo. How you doing, man? What's going on?
Yeah, as I mentioned, I'm pretty sick today, but the show must go on. So here we are.
By
Uh,
popular demand.
yeah, and we have an awesome episode lined up. A little bit last minute prepared, but we realized we needed a proper recap for the year. 2023 was brutal. It was pretty bleak at times. And I think you probably saw the same reviewing the stories for this year and seeing there were some nice spots of great and exciting news for adoption, but there was also some really, really bleak stuff. So I'm happy to call it a year and I'm excited for the year ahead, but we got to talk about what happened this year. And as you mentioned, this is the last podcast episode of 2023. We're going to be taking 2 weeks off for the holidays. We haven't done that in probably 4 or 5 years, if I'm being honest. I don't think we've taken any time off, even when traveling. So that's pretty exciting. And it's episode 7. I saw this interesting fact the other day that 1% of podcasts don't make it to, 1% of podcasts make it beyond 20 episodes. So I am very eager to hit that and surpass that by 100, 200, 300 podcasts at least.
Oh, man, I was going to say we hit 21 and just call it a day. just
to prove them wrong.
Just milk the statistics. I think we're good. Ooh, but yeah, last episode of the year. Here we go, guys. Innovation Bites, welcome. Welcome, everybody watching. And like you said, Carmelo, I think we're going to start off with some normal stuff, right? The markets, what's going on with crypto, what's going on with Bitcoin, Ethereum. We're going to talk about some industry happenings in the past week since we had our last episode. And then we're going to dive into, I guess, the recap of the year. We've got top 10 news stories of the cryptocurrency industry. And then we've got some awards to give out. So I think that's going to be a fun little segment. There's been a lot that's happened over the past week, month, etc. And so, I hope this doesn't get so depressing, like all the news is bad. There was a lot of good news, I think, too, right?
Yeah, there was good news too. It's just I think it alternates on our top 10 countdown. It's like one bad one, one good one, one bad one. So there's a nice, healthy mix. And I guess the exciting thing is that look at the state of the space right now. Things are picking up. People are getting excited. I'm seeing oversubscribed rounds for investments right now, which I forgot was a thing. So after all that bad news, all of these calamities, we're still trending upwards. So that's pretty exciting and encouraging for the space.
That really is, yeah. I mean, the fact that the Web3 startup space is heating back up. There's a lot of VCs and investors looking for investment opportunities. There's a lot of founders, again, taking tokens to market. And so maybe we're going to see why on the Bitcoin price. So without further ado, you ready to dive in?
I am ready.
Let's do it. Here we go. We've got Bitcoin up here. And let's see, the past 7 days since the last boom room, it's just up and down, man. And this is pretty big movement, right? From 43, 44 down to 40. That's almost like 10% fluctuation in this range, which is kind of crazy. But I mean, Carmelo, remember what was it? For the past 1 or 2 years, we saw massive volatility. So in the grand scheme of things, I guess this is not that bad.
No, I mean, we went down. It's kind of been a sideways week, even though there's been some discouraging news this week. We'll cover more of that later. But with all the bad stuff that's been happening, we've essentially gone sideways. So nothing to be worried about. I imagine there will be a slight retrace or dip, maybe going into the new year as people even the degens will be off their laptops, I think, and celebrating the holidays, maybe partying on New Year's Eve. So I think we'll have a little break and a little respite, and then back up and at them in January, February. We'll see this price go up. But for now, it's pretty stable. It's like a 40 to 44 range last week.
Yeah, not that bad. When you zoom out to a year, you see like, this isn't very, very concerning, even though, much of crypto Twitter might be calling for like doomsday. I every time I go to this intraday chart, I just think about all of like the influencer technical analysis experts talking about like, I think this might be, what is that, head and shoulders and then a dead cat bounce or something. I just don't know where this stuff comes from. We've got Ethereum up here now, and I'm pretty sure Ethereum is doing somewhat similarly, right? We've had the same trend for the past month or so following Bitcoin, and so you can see it here. That's the week, and then on the month, we're seeing a pretty similar trend, a little bit downward, a little bit more, I guess, maybe more significantly downward, which is good because I think I'm ready to buy some more ETH.
Yeah, I mean, I think we said it last week. The ETH, I think the last time that Bitcoin was at this level, ETH was significantly higher.
Yeah.
So I am very bullish on Ethereum still. There's been some interesting news. I don't even think we put it into our recap, but I think Solana for the first time ever flipped Ethereum in 24-hour volume or DEX volume.
No way.
Which is crazy because I remember a lot of people saying that Solana was essentially dead during the bear market. Like Solana did not look like it was healthy, and now it's as if they turned on a switch and the whole ecosystem came back to life. And yeah, people are trading, and keep in mind they have no gas fees basically in Solana, so people are flocking to Solana again, which is cool.
Yeah, for sure. And do you think it was because of Bonk? Everyone's been talking about Bonk on Solana. Going crazy over there.
I think it's partially that, and partially the phone. Solana just launched their phone as well.
Oh, that's right.
And I think they're giving away Bonk tokens to people that buy the phone. So there's people literally buying the phones just to get Bonk tokens, which is, not something I ever thought I would hear in my life.
It's kind of crazy. And I remember hearing this. I was speaking to a friend this weekend who's been working in the industry for a little while. He was telling me that Bonk is being airdropped to people that are buying the Solana phones. And then, you realize if something like that is happening, then there's a close relationship or collaboration between Bonk and Solana. And so Bonk is just a meme coin, right? But it makes you wonder, like, what sort of agreement, like commercial agreement, do they have in place for like allowing that to happen? Because, Bonk is airdropping tokens, which is value to them. I mean, pretty much money, right? It's a cryptocurrency. What are they getting in return, really, I wonder?
Exposure, that affiliation with Solana, it's kind of gives them credibility that they might not have had before. I think I told you this week, I woke up and I saw people wouldn't shut up about Bonk, and I was kind of annoyed, kind of feeling sad that I missed the train. And then I remembered last year in the middle of crypto winter, seeing some stupid Bonk token in my Solana wallets. And I think it was named after this meme where the Doge is getting hit in the head with this club. And I was like, that's dumb. Probably one of those, I'm skeptical. So I thought it was one of those things that you can't interact with or else your whole wallet gets rubbed. So I didn't think anything of it. I think there was like $40 worth of value. And then I checked the other day and I remembered, holy hell, I think I have some of those tokens still. And lo and behold, I was airdropped those. And I think it was for NFT participation in Solana. But yeah, apparently they got original Solana devs got dropped $300 worth of tokens each, and some of those are worth $500,000 now, I think, in current Bonk value. So that's pretty wild.
It is wild. And then I saw an article earlier this week talking about how the Bonk team had started performing some OTC token sales, and so the devs ended up selling $125 million worth of tokens. And that kind of blew my mind. If you think about like the real value behind a meme coin, we talk about it all the time because a meme coin doesn't really promise anything. There's no real team that's going to develop any product unless maybe they make $1 billion and decide they have to give the community something. So the only real value lies in like the liquidity on exchanges and whatnot. And so the team was able to sell $125 million of Bonk tokens, maybe versus the other option of just liquidating and dumping a bunch of Bonk tokens and extracting value from the liquidity, which is probably nowhere near $125 million. So the team made out like bandits, really. It's kind of crazy people decide to buy Bonk OTC.
I mean, it's currently almost at a $2 billion market cap. And actually, it's not your typical meme coin. They do have a lot of utility. They are building hundreds of different things um, for DeFi, for gaming. So I think they're an integral part of the Solana ecosystem at this point. And unconventional launch, I think they were smart to airdrop people tokens in the middle of crypto winter when everybody was just completely bearish and turned off to the idea of using Solana ever again. And they gave away a lot of tokens that didn't really do anything until they became valuable. So I think it's a cool strategy, and I'm interested. The more I learn about it, the more I'm like, okay, this isn't your typical meme coin. Like, I think we covered the one a few weeks ago. The whole point, their whole shtick was that they don't promise anything. They say you're dumb if you buy this, and like there's no value. Don't ever expect anything to be built. So not the same here.
I gotta meet the Bonk business development team, because like just getting in that deep with Solana is kind of crazy for something that started out as a meme coin. But from what it sounds like, Bonk is no longer a meme coin; it's an actual project, right?
Yeah. Which is funny because that project we talked about a few weeks ago, meme coin, I think it's like the opposite. It's a VC-backed meme coin that does nothing, and this is an unconventional meme launch that's actually building something. So it's like they flipped places. So these two are like yin and yang to each other.
Yeah, the industry is like just one big string of like opposite days. Well, anyways, Solana's back up to nearly $70, so my bags are pretty happy. And maybe maybe they're seeing that sustained price because of all that activity from Bonk. Speaking of I guess Solana and some other networks and TVL, we've got total value locked across all chains. A massive 20% jump in Ethereum, green across the board, except for our favorite front runner, Tron. Again, sorry, Turkey. Sorry, Justin Sun. Looks like you guys have to take a back seat. I wonder what's happening with Tron lately.
I will admit that I don't know much about Tron still, and I don't care to learn. As mean as that sounds, it's nothing personal. I don't think it's anything new. It's just a more centralized, cheaper version of Ethereum. Same like Binance Smart Chain has its uses, but I'm not personally going to use it. But yeah, I did actually. I bridged over some tokens to Avalanche today for the first time ever because I made a tweet about it. But I want to start just exploring other chains, even with a little bit of money, just to see what it's all about, so I can know more about the space and all these things that we use. Because you and I, we build token economies. We have clients, clients building on all different chains and ecosystems, and they're always asking us, "What would you recommend?" And it depends on the use case and it depends on the type of project, but there's really no right answer to that question. Like, look at all these chains; they're all poised to do quite well next year, I think. So,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a really good point because I was just airdropped something on Tron, so I have to check that out. I haven't used Tron yet. And talking about token economics in the past couple of years, I guess we've had a number of clients that asked us about what network should we launch on. We're thinking about Polygon, and in let's say the second half of 2021, early 2022, like we were telling everyone to stay away from Polygon just because we saw like so much congestion. It seemed like such a fragile chain and network. But now you look at Polygon's like up number 2 on TVL by EVMs or layer 2 chains. So like they emerged, but again, in the beginning, it was not so great. It was people talking about, this is going to be the Ethereum killer and blah, blah, blah. But it was so awful to use. I think I ended up losing a bunch of money on some like transaction that I screwed up. So that was also unbiased, obviously, against Polygon because of that, but not anymore. They seem to be doing pretty well.
It's also interesting. Metis is up there. I haven't heard anything from Metis in quite some time, but they're
absolutely.
In the top 10.
Yeah, we know those guys. I mean, Metis, it's a fantastic network, and they develop some really, really cool stuff.
I'm a little bit biased against Metis too, because I think I lost some money in some weird staking vault like 2 years ago, and I never was able to get it back. But when I have some time, I'm going to try to rescue that money.
Rescue? That sounds kind of sketchy. Well, that's it for the markets then. Let's go ahead and dive into news. And there's a lot of news for the last week. We're going to try and get through most of it. And then we're going to dive into our top 10 news stories of the year. And so first up, Carmelo, we've got a massive NFT hack. And it looks like a bunch of apes were stolen. What do you know about this?
Yeah, I don't know. There was this weird exploit. It was kind of unclear. I was surprised that I couldn't find like one story that was the same. But I think NFT Trader or something to do with giving access to NFT marketplaces to list NFTs, and a whole lot of them were stolen. And obviously, the most notable ones are like Mutant Apes and apes themselves and VeeFriends and all that stuff. But yeah, almost $3 million in loss. And the weirdest thing was I saw that some of them were starting to get returned, and then some random guy, he said, I'm not tech minded, I'm not a dev, but I can start sending these back on behalf of the hacker or something like that, which is really bizarre. I don't
It's
know.
kind of it's almost like a movie, right? And so I saw here in this article, they think it's the actual hacker. They claim that he may be lying, but the hacker claims he has limited technical skills, and he just wants all of the victims to pay a 10% bounty in Ether because he can live off of that. And live a free life off of that. He came to pick up some leftover trash, but ended up picking up a bunch of mutant apes, a bunch of bored apes, some, I think, VeeFriends, and a lot of other things. So kind of crazy, but at least they plan on giving some of this stuff back.
Well, if you look below, it says another atypical development. One of the victims was returned their ape and 31 ETH, which is really weird. It's like you just singled this one person out, gave them their ape back, and you gave them a little Christmas bonus.
Man.
So like everybody got screwed over, but one guy got his ape back and $70,000. So I don't know how I would feel if I was that person. Like, do you return the money? Do you send it to some of the other people that lost their apes, maybe as like a soften the blow? Kind of a weird. I don't know. This hacker, between this and the Kyber swap hack, where the guy literally tried a hostile takeover of the company and tried to become the president. Like, we've been seeing some really bold and weird hackers lately. Not your typical black hat, white hat. They're in their own category.
That's for sure. And honestly, like nothing in this industry seems to like surprise me so much anymore. This is my exact sentiment on this. What in the world is going on? Is this real life? And that's something I think I ask myself on a daily basis in this industry. You see these crazy things happening that I don't even want to break that down. None of that makes sense to me. But I mean, good for that guy. Walk away with $70,000.
Quote of the year candidate.
Yeah. In other news, Arbitrum Network went offline for a number of minutes, and they're talking about inscriptions being the cause of this. Inscriptions are basically like a portion of a data protocol that allows you to inscribe data or information into a token or asset, very much similar to how Bitcoin ordinals are structured. And so, Carmelo, correct me if I'm wrong, I think this is kind of like what happened on Bitcoin Network as soon as ordinals started popping off, is that there was some more congestion. Bitcoin transaction fees started skyrocketing, and a lot of people were upset because they figured this is kind of like the opposite of what they wanted to see with Bitcoin.
Yeah, I think both of those are true. Like Arbitrum, I wasn't even aware that inscriptions were impossible there, but I think if it follows the same sentiment as BRC20 in Bitcoin ordinals, you're basically packaging more data. You're inscribing it into the blockchain, so there's fewer blocks per transaction. And then the network was down for 78 minutes, which is crazy. But I know you and I used to make a lot of jokes about Solana, like it's the McDonald's ice cream machine. Like every time you go there, it never works. It's going down constantly. So I know Solana's been pretty good lately in the bear market, at least. We'll see how it handles the bull market again. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of worrying when a major chain like Arbitrum just goes down for 78 minutes. Like, it's forgivable, but if this starts happening more and more, you forget that like the whole point of a blockchain is to always be live and never have these issues. And the more centralized it is, the more likely or more at risk it is for this too. I think. Like, I don't think you would ever see Bitcoin ever going down because it's just owned by proof of work miners.
Absolutely. And I think, the issues around Solana going down constantly are more of like the ice cream machine breaking, not there being a massive line in like what we're seeing here. And so if you think about Arbitrum is like proposed as a scaling solution
Yeah.
for Ethereum. And so like this scaling solution saw significant congestion to go down 78 minutes, which is probably longer than like, has Ethereum gone down for more than 78 minutes, like unplanned before? I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't think it can go down, not at least not in that sense. But there's been forks and stuff where it's been, um, I don't know, not working 100%. But I think it's always live in one way or another.
Yeah, I think I saw it's got to be always live. I think one time I saw $1,000 gas fees. So like I think that's just what happens. But yeah, Arbitrum a little bit concerning. I hope and there's a lot of optimism, pun intended, around that network. So hopefully they can address that issue. Speaking of Ethereum, we've got the ERC 3643 standard being dropped by the Ethereum Foundation, EIP, as a standard for compliant asset tokenization. Carmelo, this is super exciting, man, particularly for us, I think.
Yeah, I mean, a few weeks ago we had actually we've had two teams on talking about tokenization, right? We had Soil, and then we had 2 weeks ago we had Bricken and Hacken.
Yeah.
So they were talking about real estate was one of the first use cases for tokenization. It's one of the more obvious ones. And then we talked to these guys at Hacken and Bricken about tokenizing a company, which was really interesting discussion. Definitely check that out if you haven't already. And yeah, now it's crazy to see that Ethereum is working on new token standards that will make this even more easy to execute on. So I'm bullish for that. Like, I think that's going to be a major narrative next year. It's going to continue. It's not going to be one of these short-lived, like AI kind of had a few months in the sun. Now it's kind of taking a back seat. I think tokenization is not going anywhere anytime soon. It's here to stay. So this is really good for the space.
Yeah, this is really huge. I don't know how significant people, or if people understand how significant this really is. One of the interesting things I saw is that this is a token standard that they've been developing, I believe, since 2021, but it's finally been finalized and it's being launched, I believe, soon. But the cool thing about this token standard in enabling the tokenization of real world assets is it offers like some new interesting features, some of which include kind of like self-sovereign identity verification, which means you can sort of like verify a token holder's identity without having to dox their actual identity, and much what you see with kind of like ZK DID applications. But some other cool things around this is that the creator of the token is able to govern certain characteristics. For example, like daily volume allowed on the token in transactions, as well as like limiting the number of tokens per individual and some other things. So it's perfect if you think about potentially tokenizing some financial instruments or real world assets like real estate. And so this is really, really cool in the tokenomics space, because all of a sudden there's a new sandbox and there's new rules to play around the sandbox. And Carmelo, you and I have been working on a few tokenization projects, so I think this is going to really revolutionize that.
Yeah, I mean, our toolbox just grew, expanded a little bit, so that's exciting. I mean, I'm always exciting anytime there's a new ERC standard. One of the ones I'm looking forward to the most next year is proto-danksharding. And I think, I don't know, yeah, the toolbox keeps expanding. It gives us more tools to play with. We're going to have to do some research and figure out how best to use these new standards and everything. But we saw I think the last major one was the NFTs that could hold their own tokens, which was obviously a big deal, but I don't think people have really touched on the potential for that just yet.
Yeah, I think 6551, which is really cool. But yeah, we haven't seen that used very much at all. And even more disappointingly, I guess we'll get into that a little bit later, but we haven't seen a lot of soulbound token use cases yet, even though that's also pretty revolutionary.
I think we've seen use cases. We just haven't seen any uses.
Yeah, that is true. In other news, the Pope is triggered. So the Pope is pissed off about artificial intelligence. He says that, I guess he's falling into what a lot of concerned lawmakers are saying that there needs to be better regulation, better planning, and better risk management around artificial intelligence technology. And he released a 3,400 word letter ahead of the World Day of Peace on January 1st. Carmelo, what's happening with the Pope, man? We don't hear a lot about him in the world of crypto.
At what point does a letter become a book?
That's a good question. That's a lot of words.
When I think letter, I think like one sheet of paper, maybe. But anyways, yeah, it's interesting. Like I never in my lifetime thought I would hear about the Pope weighing in on anything crypto or finance related, or especially AI. But I guess it just goes to show you that AI will become that prevalent. It will be one of the biggest things happening to humanity over the course of the next decade and beyond. So I guess he's right to be worried about it. There's a lot of misinformation about AI right now and how it's being used. A lot of people don't even understand what ChatGPT is still, and that it's just a language model. It's not capable of thinking. It's not AGI. But yeah, I think I was joking with somebody before. There's a picture in one of the articles. You know this meme that was going around with the Pope wearing this like luxury jacket.
This one.
yeah, there it is. So I had this. I have this narrative. It's canon in my head that the Pope saw this and he was pissed off. Like I would never wear that coat. And now AI is my enemy. Like how dare you dress me up in this coat? So yeah, maybe he's not worried about Terminator or Skynet. He's worried about like maybe fake AI generated photos of him.
Yeah, he's worried about Dolly. But you know what? That fit is fire. I gotta say, I'm really liking it.
Yeah, it's updated. Nice, novel, new look.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, jokes aside, I understand. Like, I think it's okay to be cautious and optimistic about the potential for AI and how it can disrupt and change humanity, the course of humanity. But I'm more worried about like companies like ChatGPT or OpenAI controlling everything. And I think Kathy Wood from ART, she said last week or the week before that we need to be developing AI open source. And open source has a big leg up, and it's already outperforming these private sandbox ones. So I think it's more interesting, and I'm rooting for open source to be the way, because you need AI that's informed by everybody in every bit of information, not just selectively chosen information by a corporation. It's in their best financial interest to design it exactly the way that benefits them the most. So why would I trust Microsoft to develop something as powerful as AI?
Well, unfortunately, they have the most capital. And then, at what point does open source become privatized? And you see, after the check came in to OpenAI from Elon Musk, they pivoted and decided we're going to take this company private. And so, like, that's, there's some real risks there. And I completely agree. Like, once you have a privatized company and once you're beholden to stakeholders or shareholders of any kind, then you have to start really prioritizing different things in your company. And that might not be, risk averse, safe development of artificial intelligence models. But I'm glad to hear open source is making its comeback in the world of AI.
Yeah, I mean, it's good because open source isn't like a company. It's just a collective of people that are not doing it because they're beholden to investors. They're doing it because they're genuinely interested in what AI can do, and they want to be on the forefront. I think it's like early blockchain and Bitcoin pioneers. They didn't do it. I mean, they probably made a handsome bit of money, but they didn't do it for the money necessarily. They did it because they were cryptography nerds and they wanted to show the world what cryptography can do.
Hey, nerds, hot take. In other hot takes, WorldCoin is making a comeback, integrating with Spotify, Mercado Libre, Minecraft, Reddit, and Telegram, integrating with some pretty big platforms, man. What's going on here, Carmelo?
Yeah, this is nothing crazy new. I mean, I kind of expected this, but not this early on. And I don't know why you would ever need to validate your identity for Reddit or Shopify. It's a little bit weird. But I did see in the article, when I was reading up on it, the World ID, I think there's going to be 3 different layers. So the most intense, most high-level layer will be the scan from the orb of your actual eyes. But I think they're going to have which makes sense. They're going to have lesser layers that are just more simple, less intense. Like maybe I mean, I think they want to capitalize and dominate the market for decentralized identity. It makes sense that they wouldn't require everybody to use the orb because they're limited. They can only scale with the amount of physical orbs they have. So it makes sense to have different layers of security, like maybe a more light KYC, let's call it.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw that their highest authentication layer is called Max. I I mean, they couldn't have come up with a better name, really. It doesn't even sound like ominous at all, Max.
I feel like they
And
could
then
have
the
just,
lowest layer is called Life. Like, yeah, I mean,
this is alive.
Jeff, yeah, like Jeff likes to eat food and watch Netflix, but I mean, I guess he's alive. I don't know. But it looks like the aim here is that they want to integrate this with platforms to reduce bot activity. But I have trouble believing that anyone on a community like Reddit would be willing or enthusiastic about any form of like KYC. This is kind of like the basis of how this platform was invented and how it developed over the past decade. I mean, this is the attraction to operating on Reddit. So I'm not sure how that ended up happening, but very interesting nonetheless.
I mean, Reddit doesn't even like crypto as it is, let alone this sort of system. And Reddit definitely doesn't like being doxxed. Like, I know people are very private about their Reddit handles and they don't even tell their friends what they are. So yeah, it's a little bit of a weird fit. And
very strange fit.
You know me, I don't trust WorldCoin at all. And I think they're a little bit sketchy, but maybe I'm wrong. I times like this, I hope I'm wrong. Maybe they're actually really good for the space, and I'm not too proud to eat my words there, but I'm expecting them to be a little bit sketchy. And
I hope so.
So far, like in Kenya and some other countries this year, they've been targeting and shutting down use of the network and orb launches because they don't want people to, I don't know, essentially sell their data for shitcoins.
It's just very strange that it seems like they're doing everything out of like evil world leader handbook from the simple fact of like the identity verification device is shaped like a chrome orb. Like, it's so Orwellian and it just seems so strange. Like, they could have gone with a little box or a camera or something and it would seem less daunting. Or I don't know, man, maybe they're being shut down because the perception is really weird. In other news, OKX suffers a $2.7 million exploit after a proxy admin contract update. So there's just more and more hacks coming to different DEXs and centralized exchanges, man. It's crazy. But in the grand scheme of things, I guess 2.7 is not that big. Still enough to do some significant PR damage for OKX.
Yeah, if you use exchanges, especially OKX, you don't want to see that they are suffering these sort of things still in 2023. And whether it's human error or tech error, it's still not great. It's not encouraging. And, this meme of not your keys, not your car. I mean, this is a decentralized exchange from OKX, so it's a little bit different. But I don't know. Like, the more this stuff happens, the more people learn not to trust crypto, which is unfortunate. But these things are still happening. There's no way to ensure that they don't happen. But yeah. 2.7 million is peanuts compared to some of the other ones we've seen this year and over the last several years. So it feels weird saying that, like shrugging off $2.5 million. Oh, happens. Cost of doing business in crypto.
Yeah, that is true. They do say that any user losses affected by the hack will be fully borne. I'm assuming they mean reimbursed. And so that's good. I mean, again, 2.7 million is probably in the grand scheme of things for OKX, not a lot. So they can afford to pay back those users. So I'm happy to see that.
Yeah, it's a really weird way of saying it too. Fully born.
Yeah, very strange. In other news, our good friend Richard Hart has served an SEC lawsuit in Finland, but not in person. He's in Russia still, right?
Supposedly, like, we don't even know if it was true last time, but apparently I didn't know this, but he has a residence in Helsinki, Finland. So I guess he lives there, which is weird because if he's in Russia and Finland are kind of like bitter enemies at this point. And yeah, you just reminded me too that I so badly, when we have the budget and the team to improve, I want like this intense graphic to introduce the segment, like Heart Watch. Like, dun dun, this week on Heart Watch. Where in the world is Richard Hart?
Oh man, that's a really good idea, actually. Yeah, I don't know where he is or where they hope to find him, but as our users might know from the last several boom rooms, I think we mentioned 1 or 2 times, Richard Hart basically fled, and he fled with a ridiculous amount of funds that he raised for. Was it Hex or the other one? I can't remember, but basically like raised over $1 billion in funding for a layer 1 network, delivered, in my opinion, something not so good, and then just kind of scrammed. And so he's somewhere out there with close to $1 billion, which is kind of crazy.
I feel like every week you want to play this dangerous game. Let's get death threats from Mexicans.
I didn't say it. It was Pulse Chain. Yeah. Hex and Pulse Chain.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I don't know. He raised an absurd amount of money, and I think Pulse Chain was essentially just a fork of Ethereum. So it literally wasn't anything new. It was just a fork. But
yeah.
It's funny because Richard Hart is clearly an intelligent guy. He knows more about the space than most people, most CEOs, most KOLs. But he insists that like nothing is really as it seems. Bitcoin's not really that decentralized. And then he says that PulseX and Hex are more decentralized, which I don't know if he's right about that. But
well, he's not. But I guess that's good marketing, right? Like he knows exactly what he's doing and like leading this narrative to help, kind of tarnish the name of Bitcoin and Ethereum to sell his own project. And I remember that we released a Tokenomics Tuesday Twitter thread a while back on Pulse Chain and dove into, what Pulse Chain actually is and what they offer. And the funny thing was, they forked Ethereum. They claimed that they were going to have this massive throughput. They claimed that they were going to have low gas fees, etc. And then if you looked at, like the number of node validators, it was something like 21. And there was really, not a lot of activity in this network. But at the same time, with those low number of node validators and low activity on the network, the gas fees were like just slightly less than Ethereum. So it just seemed like they really didn't build anything good or efficient at all. And so I'm kind of feel for like Hex and Pulse Chain holders, and Richard Hart just ran away with a bunch of money. We'll see how this pans out. Obviously, the SEC is after him, and the SEC is quite relentless, as we do know. Pivoting over into other infamous characters, we've got the former U.S. President Donald Trump launches another NFT collection, and it's mugshot themed. Carmelo, tell us about this one, man. This is a funny one.
This is the funniest story of the week, the grift of the week. So Trump, your boy Trump, has he's launched 2 NFT collections so far, which is crazy. I never thought I would say that sentence in my life, but he launched before, and I think his wife has also launched her own. Melania launched her own NFT collection, which is absurd. Like, but think about like the type of celebrities that launch their own NFT collections like this. It's usually people that are struggling financially. So now he's released the mugshot, and apparently you buy 47 of these mugshot NFTs because the first 2 collections didn't do well enough for him. So you buy 47 of these for $99 each. So if you waste $4,500 of your money, you get to win a piece of the actual suit from his famous mugshot and dinner at Mar-a-Lago. So that seems like a bad deal to me, but I know there's so many Trump supporters out there that would absolutely love to go to Mar-a-Lago and eat dinner, eat steak with ketchup with Donald Trump. So, it works. Like, good for him, I guess. He's selling out collections better than a lot of NFT degens. And one thing I noted is they were very careful not to mention the NFT aspect of it. Like, obviously, you and I both know it's NFTs, but I'm tempted to ask you to watch the video. It's so ridiculous. There's like Donald Trump talking for 2.5 minutes about NFTs. He could say it all better than I can.
Hi, everyone. This is your favorite president, Donald J. Trump, with some very exciting news. My last 2 Trump digital trading card collections sold out in just hours. And now I'm back with my latest series called the Mugshot Edition. I wonder where that came from. The Mugshot Edition. 47 all new stunning cards. And here is the best part. I'm doing 2 important things for my Trump collectors. For the first time, we're creating a real physical Trump card. Purchase 47 digital cards and we'll mail you a beautiful trading card. It is an authentic piece of the suit I wore when I took that now famous mugshot. And it was a great suit, believe me, a really good suit. It's all cut up and you're going to get
the same exact suit he's wearing right now.
Some of them, a true collector's item. This is something to give to your family, to your kids, to your grandchildren. With the purchase of 47 of the Trump digital trading cards, you will also be invited to join me for a gala dinner at my beautiful Mar-a-Lago, my home in Florida. You've perhaps heard of it. It's become a pretty famous place. We just had our first dinner for my collectors, and we had a lot of fun together. That was a great evening. That was a fantastic evening. Some people call these cards pop art or modern art. I wish I looked as good as I do on those cards. That I can tell you. They give me muscles where, believe me, I don't have them. I wanted to keep my Trump digital trading cards at the same price, $99.
Oh my God, it looks so like 1990s.
CollectTrumpCards.com. It's really easy to buy. They sold out incredibly fast the last time, and I think the Mugshot Edition will sell out even faster. So don't miss out. Go to CollectTrumpCards.com. Go right now and collect your own exclusive piece of American history, and we'll all have fun together. Have a good life.
Have a good life.
Good life. That's how he signed off. Man, I swear to God, like there was no script there. it was just Trump rambling, right?
It's true. Yeah, always. But you know, you're right. Like this is like this 90s, you know, when boomers would buy up these commemorative coins, like buy this US silver dollar with George Bush dropping bombs on Afghanistan.
Oh man, we're still gonna get canceled for that comment. Hey, you know, I think just going back to what you said before, the thing that probably triggered our viewers that are Trump supporters the most is when you said you can go join him and eat steak with ketchup on it. That somehow triggered me a little bit. But you know, I wonder,
is that how you eat steak?
No, it's just like the thought of that, and then
he does that. He's famous for that.
You know, the pieces of the suit that he gives, I wonder how big they're going to be. So if you think about like he takes a suit,
this big,
cuts it
tiny.
Up, yeah, so he cuts it up into like 1,000 pieces, and so he's walking away with maybe like if it sells out, $5 million for this NFT trading card collection, which is kind of crazy.
I mean, yeah, going back to my original point, if you're worth billions of dollars, you don't waste your time with this. Like this does, you know. Good for him that he can still make money just based off of leveraging his reputation. But this collection looks weird, and I imagine there's going to be 4, 5, 6 more after this. And you know, like I said in the video, he was very careful not to say NFTs. He said digital trading cards. So I think that they are at least smart enough to understand, like, we can't call these NFTs. You know, they can be NFTs, but we're not going to mention that so much because we don't want to scare people away. But yeah. It's selling out. It's one of the better NFTs, I guess, compared to a lot of the other bad NFTs out there.
I can't believe it, man. This is I would say this is my my favorite story so far, but this one is obviously very, very important as well. We've got a massive ledger hack. And so, Carmelo, what do you know about this ledger hack? It's been, I guess, like really, really crazy coming off of the buzz that Ledger created for the idea of like storing private keys in their centralized database as backups.
Yeah, I mean, this is a little bit different than that, but yeah, Ledger has not had a great year. And yeah, I think they have an open source, let's call it library, where they have a lot of information about how you can interact with the hard wallet or the cold wallet. And it's just like a repository for all these different applications to use. So you don't have to have a ledger to be affected by this. So there was a security breach, and weirdly enough, only $500,000 was stolen, all in all, which is wild when you think about the impact and the scale of this. I was being told, don't interact with my MetaMask wallets, don't use any dApps, not just Ledger, but any decentralized applications. And it was kind of scary because I've seen some crazy hacks like we've talked about, but nothing of that scale. And it even made me doubt. I was like, how can I, in good faith, recommend, crypto to people when apparently one person, one company can, get spoofed and lose access to their account, and then this can happen. And I still don't know what caused this. I think they found the guy. They saw an email login, but it was a former employee that I think he got his account hacked or phished, and then they weren't sure if he did it or if he got phished, so they don't know yet. I think he got phished, but anyways, why does an ex-employee from Ledger have the means to log in and be able to change stuff and update stuff? So that's a little bit worrying, and it doesn't bode well for Ledger and their internal practices or how they onboard or offboard employees and their security protocols. Like, they say they're security minded, but that says otherwise.
I mean, yeah, you think about like there's different levels of security really. And we've talked about this a number of times before. The idea of like, on the blockchain level with smart contract audits. And a lot of people in this industry think that's the only layer of security you need. But then you have to talk about the people level or, in between those two, the actual digital or virtual level where you'd use VPNs, 2FA, things like this to try and, protect virus scan, active fire blocks and things like this. And so these processes don't exist for a lot of companies. I have trouble believing they don't exist for Ledger. But one thing that's really funny, in the last week, in the last Boom Room, we spoke about Jack Dorsey's Block, new multi-sig wallet coming to market with these different layers of authentication, the 3 layers of verification, which allows any user to access their private key or access funds with only 2 out of 3. And, this is like a perfect example of how you can address these centralized backups that Ledger has constructed here. Obviously, this doesn't have anything to do with this, or at least we don't really know that for sure. But it's funny that Jack Dorsey is bringing this, or Block is bringing this new multi-sig to wallet right before this happened. And so with that being said, we want to go ahead and dive in to our next segment, which you guys might be very familiar with. You know what it's about. You know what's happened. You know what's going to happen. We're talking about Ledger in Memoriam.
As a security company, we don't look at the price. We focus on security and ease of use. That's our mission for the market, and that's regardless of the price. Price action up and down doesn't mean anything for us. Security is all that matters for Ledger. Security is all that matters for Ledger. Security is all that matters for Ledger.
Oh, man, I feel bad laughing.
Our
Security is all that matters.
producer is savage.
Security is all that matters for Ledger. Security is all that matters for Ledger.
Paper log.
Security is all that matters for Ledger.
Oh God, that was really savage. So I got to give it to our producer there. The paper padlock was, I think, the icing on the cake. Oh man.
Imagine being an investor in Ledger, like not happy sailing right now.
Yeah, not at all. I don't think they're doing very well. I'm not sure if they're going to make it, honestly. But there's a lot of crazy news that happened the last week alone, Carmelo, and it just goes to show like the time that we're about to have is kind of crazy because we're going to dive into the top 10 news stories of the entire year 2023. There's a lot to cover. It's kind of intimidating. I think, like I said before, I don't want to feel like depressed or sad. I'm hoping there's some like positive news stories here. You reassured me that there are some, right?
Oh yeah. more recent, yeah. I think there's more good ones than bad ones. So yeah, we want to talk about the top 10 biggest market movers of the year, and yeah, maybe some people that are getting into crypto over the last few weeks or months, maybe they're not familiar. This is their first bull market coming up. They have no idea what they're getting into and what's been happening. So guess it's mostly for those people, but for everybody, maybe you forgot. I know I was going through the list and I couldn't believe all that's happened this year. Some of the stuff early in the year, I was like, are you sure that wasn't 2 or 3 years ago?
Oh man, yeah, I remember reading through a couple of these and thinking like, wow, I thought that was like a long time ago. But we'll go ahead and dive in, and what we have here is number 1, top 10 news stories of crypto, and we're starting with Bitcoin and market is pumping due to ETF announcements for BlackRock, Grayscale, and Van Eck. The Bitcoin ETF is coming, y'all, and some people are saying it's priced in.
I have a hard time believing it's priced in. It's a little bit insane. And yeah, this is like probably the best story of the year. It's the most bullish for crypto. We've spoken at length about this too. Like, I personally don't love the idea of institutions like BlackRock coming in and starting to leverage their name and all their capital to dominate the space. But it's inevitable at this point. Might as well enjoy the pump that they bring along with it in the meantime. And, the Bitcoin ETF, it's been a long time coming. I think Grayscale launched their own future ETF a long time ago. And I think all that money is locked up and you're allowed to contribute to it, but you're not allowed to take it out. But Grayscale and all these Van Eck, Fidelity, they're all applying for spot ETFs now for Bitcoin. And that's already crazy enough. But then I'm hearing that BlackRock applied for an Ethereum ETF, which is really cool because I'm an Ethereum, not a maxi, but close to that. So I'm more excited about the prospect of being allowed to invest in Ethereum ETF. And I've even heard murmurs lately of a Solana ETF, which blows my mind. Like,
Ooh, no way.
Yeah, like imagine that. Like, imagine boomers investing their retirement portfolio in Solana and bonk indirectly.
I mean, after Ethereum ETF, it really just picks up from there, right? There's a number of blockchain networks. There's a number of coins that have been on the market for a long time. And, once they see the demand for an Ethereum ETF, they see the TVL and the network skyrocket because of demand and integration into like a number of different financial instruments, exposure on a lot of non-Web3 people's portfolios. Then it's going to come. People are going to start saying, what about Solana, that other token or that other coin that I heard in the news went up like 20% last week and things like this. Yeah. And so this is where we on the fear and greed index, we really start diving into the greed side. But again, we're very, very bullish on Ethereum. We're very bullish on Ether. We think the network is fantastic. And just hopefully, this brings in some more adoption. I know BlackRock has more than enough capital, like buy up the entire market cap of Ethereum maybe, but I don't know. We'll see what happens.
I don't know if they have that much money actually, but yeah. When do you think there's ever going to be a Doge ETF?
No, I don't think so.
I feel like we're going to see a Doge ETF at some point.
No, there's no Doge ETF. Regulators don't even listen to Melo right now.
When our idiot generation starts aging and approaching retirement, we're for sure going to see Doge ETF.
God, what a disappointing thought. Well, anyways, going back to number 2, we've got Silvergate and Signature Bank closures. Carmelo, this was huge news. There was a lot of I forget what the term is, contagion from Signature Bank closing, right? Especially after everything that happened with FTX.
Yeah, I think so. Going back to what we said, I think this was probably the most negative story of the year. Top 2, top 3. But I think this is the worst one of the year because, crypto is starting to look up. I think this happened very early last year, maybe in the first quarter. And crypto, it was barcoding. It was maybe looking a little bit encouraging. And then, no coincidence, these banks are targeted. And I remember because I use Kraken from time to time. It's the only exchange I use to bridge wallet from fiat to crypto. And they use these banks like Signature Bank to be an intermediary. And I remember seeing that like people like Elizabeth Warren, Senator Warren, and the SEC and other politicians in the U.S. were targeting these banks because they were aware of their role in crypto and facilitating this on-ramp and off-ramp into crypto. So they weren't happy about that. I think it's not a coincidence that these were targeted and shut down. They were closed by, I think one was closed by California and one was closed by the federal government. But yeah, not a good time. This really, it wasn't a black swan because it's not like, it doesn't qualify as a black swan event, I think, because it wasn't all at once, but it definitely did a lot of damage to crypto. I think it made crypto winter a little bit darker and more bleak. And I think a lot of people just took some time off after that because they were like, we can't catch a break anywhere.
Absolutely. And you know what a lot of people in this industry fail to realize, or maybe don't remember, is that this is not a bank that solely catered towards crypto. I mean, these banks were essentially a big part of the entire tech startup scene in California and the US, pretty much all over the US. And so there were a lot of fantastic, promising technology startups that were using their banking services. They were relying on these banks, and overnight had run into some huge hurdles and some massive challenges. So this really hit just the tech sector in general, not just crypto, and maybe collateral damage from agendas from higher government agents. So this is very, very concerning. But again, definitely one of the biggest news articles of the year, regardless of what people think.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's good because we can only go up from there. Like, I think that was the local bottom of the entire market. I don't know if that correlates with Bitcoin's price or Ethereum's price, but I think it was probably as low as it goes this cycle. Maybe in the 20s, or no, sorry, 15,000, maybe 16,000. But I know that everybody was not happy.
Absolutely. Number 3. CZ steps down of CEO as Binance. We covered this in I think, was it a couple of boom rooms ago, maybe the 5th one, but still massive news. And, I think it shocked the world seeing that someone as thought of as invincible as CZ, an exchange as big as behemoth-like as Binance, which is basically I think Binance settles 60%, 70% of crypto centralized exchange transactions globally. And so taking a massive $4 billion settlement and CZ stepping down, I think he's still dealing with some legal troubles in the US. But yeah, massive news here as well. That's also negative, I would say.
Yeah, especially one thing I always think about is every influencer has a picture with CZ at a conference, and he always looks so uncomfortable. And they're like, yeah. And he's like, oh, man. Sometimes I feel like his job is just to take photos with influencers. But maybe he's enjoying temporary retirement right now. I think it's bullish for CZ and his mental health. And I think he appears to be enjoying his post-CEO life. And he's still the founder. He still has equity in the company itself. So he's still doing well. Obviously they got slapped with a huge fee, both personally and for the company, like in the billions. But, it says a lot that your company can pay billions of dollars in fines and still be alive and kicking. So I think they're going to be okay.
Yeah, I hope so. And it was crazy. Like I think it was when we had Dima, the CEO of Hacken, on the live stream a couple of episodes ago. He was talking about how CZ potentially put a target on his back by expressing to a bunch of different crypto industry leaders and very wealthy people at I think it was some sort of crypto Illuminati event, Satoshi something, where Binance was making more money on BUSD arbitrage conversions than they were on spot trading transaction fees. And so the idea that basically any stable coin that people deposited or purchased in the platform and the back end, they converted that to BUSD and they took a transaction fee, or they took a cut in the arbitrage. So that's kind of crazy. And obviously CZ is someone that doesn't come with some controversy. You don't get that big without getting your hands dirty. At least in this industry, we've seen that. So I think it's disappointing, but maybe, it was coming. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I think it feels like a victimless crime to me, but maybe I'm wrong about that. But, Yeah, I don't know anybody that maybe Vitalik is the only person I can think of that's gotten big without pulling any shadiness. So
Yeah,
yeah, CZ's not
Vitalik's
going
totally
anywhere.
Jesus.
CZ's going to be around, and he's going to be advising projects and building other things. So I'm bullish on CZ. I know it's a little bit early, but I'm bullish on CZ in 2024. I think he's going to be doing some cool stuff.
You're bullish on 24 CZ?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, because he does
So-
this, the 4. 2024.
Number 4. This is, a lot of people believe to be fantastic news in the industry. SEC loses the case and appeal against Ripple and Carmelo. This was huge because they had been, they've been pursuing this lawsuit and legal action against XRP and Ripple for a long time. I believe after they had convinced Ripple founders and the Ripple company to come in and work with regulators initially. Afterwards, they kind of turned the tables on them, right? So this is fantastic news, I think, coming from Ripple.
Yeah, I mean, they've been fighting this lawsuit since 2020, and they were kind of on the front lines fighting on behalf of the entire industry. Obviously, they're doing it for themselves, but their legal team deserves a massive round of applause because they've kind of took the whole entire crypto space on their shoulders while they were fighting this. And all in all, I didn't see this coming, at least not now. I thought it was going to be permanently locked up in courts, but yeah, a judge found that it is not, in fact, a security. And then Gary Gensler and the SEC immediately went to appeal the decision, and that was denied. So I think this is important to mention too, because we don't have number 1 on the list without this. I think this emboldened financial institutions. It signaled that ETFs were coming. It signaled that there is validity here, that crypto's here to stay. And it was just the push that BlackRock needed for, let's say, or Fidelity or all these other institutions on the fence that, we're waiting for something like this to get in fully, jump in with both feet. So, yeah, I think this might be one of the best stories of the year too. This and the ETFs. This is the most encouraging for crypto in the short term and probably in the long term as well.
Yeah, for sure. You ever notice like those diehard XRP evangelists, and they're always telling you how XRP is like the best asset and it's going to do like everything in the world. And if you don't buy XRP, you're stupid. After this happened, I had so many people come up to me and tell me that XRP is like, it's going to bring down the Illuminati and all sorts of ridiculous stuff. And so I'm wondering like how that's going. I haven't checked out XRP in a while, but again, bullish for the company. At least they can live in peace for now, I suppose.
Yeah, I think they're doing some big stuff right now. Like they're working on a CBDC projects with different governments, which I don't like. I hate CBDCs personally, but yeah, Ripple itself is, I think they're going to become the back end for a lot of financial networks and banks, maybe replace SWIFT eventually. So Ripple, I think it is a good investment company wise, but I'm not sure. I don't know enough about the token and how it relates back to the company itself, how it's used, and how it will be used in a B2B function. But yeah, Ripple, it's one of the OGs in the space. It's one of the oldest altcoins in existence. So of course you got the Ripple community repping them strong.
Yeah,
Ripple
they're like the tier 1 hexagons. All right, I would consider this good news. Number 5, Sam Bankman-Fried found guilty. And I don't think this was any surprise, really, considering there was so much going against him. But I think what was more exciting for the industry was watching the testimony and hearing some of the crazy stuff coming out of some of the people involved with this case. But yeah, at least there's a closed door on that one. And now it comes down to reparations for the victims of FTX. I'm not sure. I don't remember what his verdict was, or what the ruling was, or the ruling was guilty, obviously. But like how many years he's getting?
A lot. I mean, he's not going to be sentenced until next March, but he's going to be in prison for most of his life, if not the rest of his life, which is kind of crazy. Like, I don't know. Financial crime is always weighed differently. If you're not like a murderer, you're not killing people actively, but you got to imagine that a lot of people maybe some people commit suicide or they got wrecked and lost everything because either this or contagion from this. So it's a weird one. I wouldn't say it's good news or bad news. It's good news in the sense that people got justice and they saw this guy pay for his what he was responsible for. But at the same time, obviously it's bad news for him, but it's bad news for anybody that is anti-crypto and wants more proof or fuel to their fire that this industry is a den of thieves like Sam Bankman-Fried. Obviously you and I and nobody we work with are anything like that. Even if you want to go with he was very negligent. The practices within that company were a joke. There was no security. There was no operational processes. Even that is shameful enough where people think crypto is a joke. And then at worst, there's a lot of malicious intent and billions of dollars were misappropriated or stolen.
Yeah. Again, going back to what, some of the claims, some of the testimony and information coming out of this trial, it really started to give me PTSD of like a former company that we worked at. And then I realized that it's just institutional, like from the top down, you see like a lack of processes, responsibility, all sorts of crazy things. And so, I think you said it well. This may be not good or bad news. It just is. And regardless, the entire situation was disappointing. Many, many people were negatively affected. I can't imagine the damage it did to families and individuals. People that casually threw in money into this exchange, people that put a lot of their savings in this exchange. And I think we've said it before, that one happening or event, even though it, grew and accumulated over the span of a couple of years, probably set the entire industry back maybe 2 or 3 years. And so that was very, very crazy to watch that unfold. I was telling people that didn't even know anything about crypto about what was happening with this case, and they couldn't believe it. It was like some sort of like awful soap opera.
Well, yeah, for a brief moment in time, that was like the center of the world. Like everybody was watching in New York that trial, even people that are not in crypto. So it's kind of one of those things that unites crypto people and non-crypto people. Everybody wanted to see this guy get justice, get his date with justice. So that's happened. March will be part 2. That's the more interesting part because we know he's guilty of wire fraud and all of these different, crimes that he's committed and the company's committed, but we don't know how the judge will, add that up and figure out how much time he has to serve.
All right. Number 6, Genesis bankruptcy. This was a big one, man, considering this was like sort of the foray of institutional capital coming into crypto. And so it was really strange to see this happen. And it seems like it happened from like just a very, very simple miscalculation and regulations that sort of like allowed this thing to unfold. What can you tell us about Genesis, Carmelo?
Yeah, it's like a massive crypto lender. And I think this went bust in November, actually the previous year. But yeah, they filed for bankruptcy like early 2023, I believe. And this is more, whether it's 2023 or 2022, there was a lot of contagion. There was a lot of black swan events like FTX, Terra Luna, and then we had Genesis. We had what's the other one? There's a few other ones that there's too many to keep track of, but yeah, it's not so much the story itself. It's just how interwoven everything in this industry is, how much every institution depends on others. So I think the Bitcoin dropping in price exposed a lot of these companies and their dodgy practices as well, because a lot of these treasuries were backed and they started to panic as soon as that Bitcoin price dipped. So Gemini was another casualty of this, and then that caused a whole lot of contagion. And then this set the course for 2023 to be pretty bleak.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the contagion is real. And this story really reminded me of like the 2008 financial crisis and how interwoven a lot of these different types of like financial instruments were, the massive amounts of risk that were being undertaken by financial firms and like just really ignoring a lot of the possibilities of one brick collapsing. And so this is kind of what happened here. I think a lot of portfolio exposure to a lot of volatile assets, also being tied back to FTX, which added a volatility to the market. And so, this is kind of it. It's like an earthquake that shakes out the weaker buildings. But again, like these institutions don't amass this much money without users or money coming from other institutions or retail. And a lot of it goes back and forth. This is one of the things that really scares me about the prospect of crypto synthetics. And I know this is something that, people have been talking about since 2021. There's been a number of projects going to market saying they want to create crypto synthetics. Crypto options has been getting more popular, but I don't think people understand that there's already a lot of risk in straight, spot trading and investing in crypto. And so how much more risk are you willing to undertake? So it's something that people have to be really, really wary about. And along the lines of FTX, we talked about OKX as well, some other exchanges. You have to be very wary about, where you're operating and where you're storing your funds, because nothing's really safe in this world yet. We see, OKX is a sponsor for, Formula One team. So just like FTX. So nothing's really safe. If you see it, span on a billboard or across Disneyland somewhere, doesn't make it safe. So something just to keep in mind. Kind of crazy.
Yeah. That's probably one of the only other bad news ones. That's bad news. Launch of BTC ordinals. That's really bullish for the space.
Bullish.
Pretty topical now too, because things are heating up right now in that area of BRC20. It wasn't just BTC ordinals either. It's obviously like using Bitcoin network itself for more things than just the transfer of value or money or Bitcoins or Satoshis, basically. And actually, there's been a lot of interesting stuff happening now with inscriptions. And I haven't verified this yet, but apparently the next Bitcoin update has the potential to shut all of this down and make it so the inscriptions and NFTs and BRC20 is not a thing anymore, which is kind of crazy. There's so much value and capital backing this. There's so many exchanges and huge VCs that are behind launching or yet to launch BRC20 projects. So it's a little bit crazy to think that can all go away with one update to Bitcoin, the network itself. So I don't know. I know there's a big struggle in the community of people that think it should just be used for its original use case, or people that are happy to see more utility brought to the network, and maybe with that, an increase in Bitcoin price because it's used for gas for other things. So I don't know. Whatever side you're on, it's crazy.
I'm a believer of, more moving parts usually brings in the opportunity for more things to break. And I know I was reading, this is funny that, this is one of our top stories, because Arbitrum, we were talking about how inscriptions potentially cause the network to go down 78 minutes because of congestion. And we mentioned Bitcoin before during that story that we were covering. And so the funny thing is, I saw on a thread, it was a forum that when Bitcoin ordinals were starting to get really popular, somebody had linked a forum where Satoshi was going back and forth with a number of early Bitcoin adopters, people in this like very small community of Bitcoin, talking about the possibility of inscriptions and bringing on additional forms of data into Satoshis or bits and in this network, and storing data on the network itself. And so the discussion was like a debate more so on what is the network for and what do they hope to accomplish. And a lot of people were going back to the Bitcoin white paper, talking about the original use case, incentive mechanisms, and what the purpose of Bitcoin is for. And so keeping this true in mind, the decision was, we're not going to do this. Bitcoin is it's a medium of exchange. It's a store of value. These are the most important things. It is like the pinnacle of what needs to stay consistent and represent the rest of the space. And so it's kind of funny that this is coming up now, many, many years later. But again, you're right. There's so much money backing this. People are diving into Bitcoin ordinals, but they're diving into it from a form of speculation, I think. And much of what I've seen on the ordinals front are people like talking about ordinal apes and other crap NFT stuff like this. And so there's really no use case or utility there. And if there's anyone globally using the Bitcoin network to send funds for payments or whatever, they're the ones that are suffering by some of these NFT degens trying to trade ordinals. And so, I don't think we've seen like a whole lot of justification for ordinals as like part of a technology or network yet. There's a lot of existing blockchains that allow this already, so you don't need to congest Bitcoin with it. But that's kind of just my hot take, I guess.
It's not a hot take. I think that's what like literally half the community believes. But one interesting note, like I sort of disagree, or I'm of the opinion that, both of those use cases are necessarily what Bitcoin should be used for. Like it's more of a store of value network. It's digital gold. So I don't know that many people that pay for stuff with Bitcoin anymore. It's maybe a medium to send big amounts of value to people, but personally, I don't use it. It's expensive. It's proof of work. I don't want to use Bitcoin network to do like small microtransactions like I would on Solana. So,
yeah,
I think, congesting it with this or congesting it, like it already had congestion problems with, it's a slow network. Like, let's face it, it's pretty slow. It's the most decentralized probably, but it's pretty slow because of that. And yeah, there's not a lot of people sending transactions every moment, but it's still pretty slow. So this is only going to make it slower. I personally wouldn't use it in my day-to-day life just to buy and hold it.
It is a good point. I think, I don't know, I'm not so bullish on ordinals, but the space was flipped over, and that's why it's one of the top news stories of 2023. And we'll see how that continues to unfold. Number 8. This is a big one, man. Rise of AI and AI blockchain projects. And we've kind of been using AI as like, sometimes, not most of the time, sometimes as like the butt of a joke. Like all of a sudden AI got really popular. And then you see like all of these pitch decks for founders, startups, just slap AI somewhere. Like, oh, we're an AI project now because it was raising funds. And you saw that happen very quick, and it was so transparent and disappointing. But for good reason, right? Because we've seen massive developments in AI over the past 8 months, 6 or 8 months. Crazy.
Yeah. I think this one, I know ChatGPT launched November last year. So it doesn't technically fit in the last year, but the effect of that launching, because I think it took a little bit of time for people to start using it and being evangelists for LLMs. But this definitely gave rise to like this bastardization of AI name. And, I knew we were going to see some agencies popping up and some people that, the same kind of people that were early to blockchain that probably annoyed everybody they know about preaching to them about what this can do for them and how amazing it is. And yeah, there's no denying AI isn't amazing. Like I use ChatGPT. It's an incredible product. I'm curious to see what other products there are out there. Like Google launched Gemini, which is also a pretty big story. Google, and there's going to be more competitors, but yeah, then we saw a lot of blockchain AI horrible projects launching. And you're right, like some of them, they say they're AI project. Like let's say you were launching a DEX, you're always planning to launch a DEX, and then all of a sudden you just squeak in AI into your DEX, like, this is the first AI powered DEX on Solana. And then you have a call with them. You're like, what about this has anything to do with AI? And they start sweating and squirming in there. Like maybe they don't even know what they don't know. They don't have devs that can tell them like, there's no reason to have anything to do with AI in the DEX, at least not now.
Dude,
they just promise it and hope that nobody calls them out on it.
My favorite was like in projects that have literally nothing to do with trading. All of a sudden they offered AI trading insights or AI powered trading insights. And so that was like a low hanging fruit. Like, oh yeah, we're going to start a lemonade stand and we have like AI trading insights on our lemonade. And so it was just crazy how like people really, leaned into this narrative. But again, for good reason. We're seeing a lot of cool stuff. I think as our viewers know, we announced last week on the Boom Room, I went to the World Blockchain Summit in Bangkok, and I was speaking on a panel about the challenges and issues within Web3 gaming and GameFi and what the future kind of looks like there. And so I was offering some insight onto like how AI is being used in the sector of Web3 gaming alone. And so like it's really cool because the limitations of AI are really at your own creativity, even at this early stage. And so we have yet to really see true AI integrations into a lot of products. So I think 2024 is going to be huge for that. So 2023 was a good year. 2024, here we go.
Yeah, especially like all the stuff we expect to happen next year with crypto already, and then add that into the developments of AI. It's going to be a weird but awesome bull run, I think.
Absolutely.
Whatever it happens.
Now, we've got number 9. This is one of my favorites. Do Kwon arrested in Montenegro. I think he was arrested with, what made it even better, just like you said last episode, like Jason Bourne style. He was arrested with a fake passport. And it was funny because you were joking before about like, oh yeah, he was probably trying to run to Dubai like all these influencers. And in fact, he was running to Dubai with a fake passport. But Do Kwon arrested after the collapse of Terraform Labs, which, was, I guess, maybe the last algorithmic stablecoin we'll ever see.
I don't know about that. I think there's still some now. But yeah, it was a disaster. But, I wouldn't blame him for trying something new and original. It's more that he had too much hubris. Like,
yeah,
he was making fun of other projects and founders and saying that everybody's an idiot and he's God's gift to crypto. And, that hubris combined with that fault, it doesn't add up well. So everybody obviously doesn't like the guy. And, there's a lot of schadenfreude right now, like seeing him get his comeuppance. And it looks like he's going to be extradited in the new year to the U.S. in a few short months. So I think that's when the nightmare really begins for him. The U.S. government's not going to, you see what they're doing, like we discussed with Sam Bankman-Fried. So they're going to have an equally big show trial for Do Kwon, I think.
Grab some popcorn. Who is this author? That's kind of savage. But yeah, I think you're right. Like I remember seeing Do Kwon actively tweeting, like calling people pores and stuff like that. And so he didn't do himself any favor. He seems he was kind of an asshole. And, he named himself Stable Kwon, which was just like icing on the cake when it comes to the irony of this algorithmic stable coin just falling apart.
Unstable Kwon. Yeah.
And then last but not least, guys, we have PayPal launching PYUSD. We talked about this in a 10-minute eye test video. I think we dove into PayPal. And, in that video, Carmelo, we said this is like low-key sleeper, some of the most significant news of the entire year. And so I think it's been really interesting seeing a big player like PayPal get into the space. And one thing that we predicted, but we also cautioned, I guess, is this might be some sort of effort for PayPal to collaborate with authorities and regulators to bring a CBDC to market. And so, that was kind of our hot take on it. Carmelo, what do you got?
It's not that they're going to bring a CBDC to the market. It's that they will be a functional, unofficial CBDC, just like USDC. I think you're right. We covered this and we called it the biggest token launch of the year. And despite not hearing a whole lot of marketing since then about it, it's still pretty significant. And I still would argue that that's not an exaggeration. It was one of the biggest launches of the year. It's pretty impactful. And maybe, I don't know if that's been priced in or not, but that is pretty bullish for crypto overall. And I think we joked about it. Like, I don't like PayPal at all. I don't want to use it more than I already do. And I'm definitely not going to trust their stablecoin ever. I'm not going to use their stablecoin, but I know a lot of people will, especially vendors on platforms. One of the reasons why this is really significant is people that use Shopify or Etsy and they have online stores. They want to settle payment. They want to start accepting crypto. Sorry. So PayPal already does payments for these e-commerce platforms. So it's just a natural fit that they're going to start doing the same for crypto with PYUSD, and they're going to make crypto that much easier to use for normies.
Yeah, Absolutely. Adoption. And let's be honest, they're not doing this because like they like crypto. Um, Massive revenue coming from transaction fees globally. And so, it was a smart move on their part. Maybe a little bit too early because I did see this article I wanted to show you, Carmelo. I just found this recently. PayPal was subpoenaed by the SEC over its PYUSD stablecoin. And so it seems like the SEC has no boundaries. They just want to shotgun every company that's stepping into crypto, even though like it's very, very likely PayPal had a massive legal team and a massive compliance department to try and structure this and make this move. There's no way they did that thinking, this might not go well. But the SEC still, I don't know what legs they have to stand on here, but SEC still filing a subpoena against PayPal for the stablecoin.
Yeah, I think it's just them flexing on them, but I don't think that's going to go well. If they didn't win the case against Ripple, they're definitely not going to win a case against PayPal.
Yeah, definitely not. There's no way in hell.
Democrats.
There we go, guys. That's our 10 top news stories of 2023. We hope you enjoyed it. Obviously, a lot more has happened than that. And let us know in the comments. Obviously, this is a live chat. You guys can go ahead and drop some mentions and stuff here. I see Serene's here, Imran, Highway to Netherworld, Innovation Bites. Thanks for participating and commenting, guys. But there's been so many massive news stories in crypto in 2023. These are the 10 that we kind of liked and thought were the most impactful. But with that being said, I guess we're going to dive into well, actually, before we do that, Carmelo, do you want to go ahead and plug us away?
Oh man, what am I plugging? Oh yeah. Yeah, so if you've been enjoying this and any of the boom rooms or any of our video content, we work hard on this. Our team works hard on this. So just give us a follow, at least a like. Your comments always mean a lot to us as well. And we look forward to a new year with our growing community. And I'll sneak in a happy holidays as well, because I know the holidays are coming up. And like I mentioned, we're taking some well-deserved time off before the bull market. So
Absolutely. Yeah. This is the first, I guess, Arcanum-wide vacation in 2 years, right?
Yeah, since the company was founded. And the company's second birthday is coming up soon too, so we got to do something to celebrate that in January, maybe with one of our Boom Room episodes.
Yeah, we're gonna give away like a crappy NFT at least.
Birthday cake, a pixelated birthday cake NFT.
Oh man. Well, guys, again, thanks for tuning in and watching. We've got crypto awards of the 2023 year, and we've got some fun categories. We're gonna go ahead and dive in. And so we've got the Arcanum Ventures Boom Room 2023 Crypto Awards, where we're going to highlight some notable things that happen. Again, some of it's on the list you've seen previously, and maybe some notable characters as well. Carmelo, are you ready for this?
No, I don't know if I'm ready for this, actually.
Yeah.
Let's give away some awards.
And we're starting with the best crypto innovations of 2023. And Carmelo, again, this is like technologies. This is other types of development. This might be crypto things or things that have impacted crypto itself. And so this is kind of like the fun thing here. One thing that I did want to say is that we've got, third place, second place, first place. I love how crappy this looks, by the way. I think we threw this together last minute, but we do have some notable mentions as well that we wanted to bring up. And so first and foremost, I think this goes without saying, you guys maybe not so surprised about it. Number 3, zero knowledge proof technology. This has been a massive innovation. Obviously started development way before 2023, but we started to see way more of it coming in during 2023 ZK Sync era, and more significantly with Polygon's ZK EVM. Carmelo, what's going on with the ZK stuff?
ZK stands for zero knowledge. So like we spoke about WorldCoin earlier, one of the ideas for that is that WorldCoin is they're going to take a scan of your retinas, they're going to have that data, and then they're going to encrypt it in zero knowledge. So they're going to basically put a flag on their network, like, okay, this person's been verified, but they're not going to show you the information. So it's privacy and transparency all at once, basically. That's the best way I could put it.
Yeah.
And then, the two major kinds of rollups are Optimistic and ZK, Zero Knowledge. So I think like Optimistic for settlement, the name Optimistic comes from the fact that you are right until proven wrong. So it accepts that information that's been logged into the blockchain is correct until it has proof otherwise. Whereas ZK, it's not like that. Like it doesn't make that assumption. But yeah, I don't know what the other two are. I'm going in blind. So if ZK is number 3, then number 1 and number 2 are probably pretty impressive.
They
don't be
are
ChatGPT
really.
though. If number 1 is ChatGPT, I'm going to be so disappointed.
Whew, I'm not going to say. So that's ZK for you. Number 2, runner up in the Silver Crown. We've got Wyoming.
Just the state
And
of
more
Wyoming.
importantly, not just Wyoming. We've got the Wyoming DAO LLC. And so I want people to kind of understand what this means. This is a development that's not really technical. If you think about the new ERC, is it 3453 asset standard for real world asset tokenization? This is the technical aspect of it, but the Wyoming DAO LLC is what really allowed true digital asset or decentralized asset ownership of real world assets to happen. And so just to explain to you guys what happened with the Wyoming DAO LLC, essentially there was a new type of corporate structure that was started in Wyoming where you can create a decentralized token supply and then grant ownership of the corporate entity, almost like a security, to those tokens. And so immediately people recognized the impact of this. There were a number of companies that were tokenizing real estate that realized I can start a Wyoming DAO LLC as a corporation, which is not so expensive, actually. They can create a token supply and then transfer the deed of a property to the Wyoming DAO LLC. And all of a sudden you have true, recognized, regulated, decentralized ownership of a real world asset. And so this is why it's impactful. We talked about this in the DAO episode with Dr. Nick and the guys from Blocksmove. We were talking about how this infrastructure is now sort of becoming the standard and it's being adopted in a number of other countries. And so people are taking this same sort of corporate structure and they're starting to adopt it in different countries around the world to cater to the massive growing demands of real world asset tokenization. And so that's why DAO LLCs are number 2. Carmelo, you got anything to add there?
Yeah, just that I don't want to burst your bubble, but I think Delaware was doing this already before Wyoming. Just a little non-fun fact.
No, they weren't, dude. No, they weren't. All right. And you ready for number 1?
Nope.
You might not expect it. Boom. We've got soul-bound tokens, something that we talked about earlier in the episode. And soul-bound tokens, one of the best crypto innovations, because all of a sudden you have a real use case for NFTs outside of PFPs and profile pictures. And so what you can do now is you can assign a soul-bound token to someone's wallet or account, etc. They're unable to move it. This simple concept allows all sorts of different innovations like digital identities, like reputation, accountability systems, things. It's something as simple as I cannot move or trade this token. It's assigned to my wallet now, and it's created some sort of identity for me. So this is why soul-bound tokens are one of the best innovations, crypto innovations of 2023, because there's been 2 different types of soul-bound tokens that have come to market from the EIP, actually. The first one is the 5190 standard. We're talking about minimal soul-bound tokens, which is exactly what I talked about before, right? So you've got the idea of an NFT being assigned to a wallet. You're unable to move it. And then that NFT can serve as some sort of identifier. On the other hand, what's been new that's coming to market, we haven't really seen this yet, Carmelo, is the 6239 semantic soul-bound tokens. And so this is something that's been developed to cater more towards existing Web 2 infrastructure. Essentially, it allows data uploading and data storage in these soulbound tokens in a format that's more familiar with website backends that use and process data already. So it allows easier identity integration, verification, and a lot of things like that. So soulbound tokens are really, really starting to pick up. Like you said before, Carmelo, I don't think we've seen many applications that are actively using them right now. In theory, they're there. We'll start to see it in 2024 more, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty solid one. I remember hearing an interview with Vitalik, and he was, I think half the reason he got into blockchain and Ethereum was he was a World of Warcraft player, and he realized that like gaming was a great use case for this early on. And then soulbound is from World of Warcraft. It's like a term for items that can never leave your person. Like you have them forever, they're bound to you. So I think that's where the inspiration for the name came from. And I always thought that was kind of funny because you and I, we build quite a few token economies. And it's funny that people think of Web3 gaming as an afterthought, but actually it might have been the thing that started the party in the first place.
Absolutely. And we've got a couple of honorable mentions. No crowns, just a cowboy hat and a beret. But the first one, you might have guessed, we're talking about a lot of ERC standards, account abstraction. So Carmelo, this was really, really cool when it was announced. We're talking about ERC 4337. What do you know about account abstraction so far?
Not a whole lot.
So I'll go ahead and walk you through account abstraction. I mean, we've got a new ERC token standard coming to market. Essentially, it allows a whole massive host of features, and the language is quite difficult if you think about it, but it's a new standard that essentially turns a smart contract into a functionality of like a crypto wallet. So it allows different functionalities to trigger transactions from that crypto wallet, much like a smart contract would.
Yeah.
This not only allows some automation, but it does allow, seedless account access and recovery. So it's really like, all of these different ERC standards that are coming to market that are being released by the EIP are just adding up into the toolkit. We're starting to see some massive tools coming in that's going to allow this industry to like develop things much more efficiently, much more robust, and eventually, completely cut out like these OKX hacks that we've been seeing, hopefully in the long term.
Yeah, see, okay. Yeah, I didn't know that. I've been hearing account abstraction for so long, but I never put two and two together. But I thought this was going to be number one because it's a more useful token standard. I think a few of our clients are even using it for some of their projects or what they're working on. So, this is ERC 4337. And I don't know, it seems like any Ethereum token standard that gets debuted is a significant news. So those are always safe to be on this list.
Absolument. And then the last honorable mention, we've talked about it before in the industry weekly recap, tokenization with the ERC 3643 standard. I'm sorry, I mentioned this 3 times in the live stream already because I absolutely love this. Like I said, we've been working on some token economies that are tokenizing real world assets, and this is a complete game changer right now. We're talking about a standard that is going to limit transaction volume on token supplies. It's going to limit token holdings. And so all of a sudden you can use this for like, micro or fragmented deeds of a house. You can use it for, let's say, actual securitization or let's say tokenization of securities like stocks, for example. And so this is a huge game changer, I think, as well. It just happened in the last week or so.
Yeah. Well, yeah, this is very Ethereum centric then. But I guess that just goes to show you that Ethereum is dominating like the building space. Like I mean, you could add Solana's phone on here, maybe. That's quite the innovation because
Solana phone.
I never thought I would see a layer one just becoming a phone company. Like that's quite a pivot. But
I might buy it just for fun.
Yeah, I think it'd be an interesting thing to have. That's like the ultimate crypto flex. Like you walk around, you see somebody with a Solana phone, and you know that they're in the industry. Otherwise, there'd be no reason to have it.
I wonder what kind of phone it is. Maybe it's like what was that phone that like flipped around that everyone had? It was like the super cool phone back before smartphones.
Like the Game Boy Advance.
No, it was like during the time of the Razor. It was this weird thing, and the screen like turned 180 to open up and like reveal the keyboard. It was like the hottest, most expensive phone at the time.
Yeah, it's like a pancake,
Yeah, pancake.
I remember my friend had that when I was young, and I was like, "Whoa, technology, man!"
Yeah, it was all about the flex because you did this with your thumb, and then the phone like flipped around. Oh, that was the flex. All right, guys. Next up, we got the biggest hacks of the year. And, honestly, some names you might not have heard of before, but the volumes we're talking about are really the biggest. So, Carmelo, are you ready for this one?
Yeah.
Number 3, we've got multi-chain. And so, this was one that kind of flew under the radar. I don't think a lot of people heard about multi-chain. But what's interesting about multi-chain, which we're going to find out, is that there was, I think it was like $100-something million, $125 million that were taken out of multi-chain. And they're not really sure if it was the team that was rugging the project or a hack, because it was a simple compromise of, I think, a private key. So this is one of the biggest hacks of the year, simply because of the dollar amount and the controversy.
So it's not even a hack. It's just either a crime or carelessness, human error.
Well, they claim it's a hack. So.
Oh, that goes back to we did the episode last week on how would you engineer the perfect rug pull, what to look out for in rug pull. And one of the common tactics is one of the common tactics is just pretending you've been hacked. It's kind of hard to verify that.
Absolutely.
Especially half the space is anonymous. You can just say, "Oh, some anonymous hacker just hacked me." Yeah, and if it's like this, if it's just a private key leaking out, then it's even harder to prove.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the best ways to get away with funds. So, multi-chain. That's kudos to you, I suppose. But again, that's unfortunate, because that money probably came from a lot of other people.
Yeah.
Number 2, we've got Euler Finance. And so Euler Finance was actually, I think, a pretty interesting one. It was a flash loan attack. And so a vulnerability on the flash loan ecosystem they developed, which is, it's flash loans continue to be some like massive source of vulnerability, right, dude? $200 million stolen from a flash loan attack.
Flash loans might be like the stupidest, most unnecessary thing in crypto. Like, just think about it. It's just a way to make money on arbitrage or do something, like expose different little wrinkles or gaps in the market. Like, I understand why it's there, but of course flash loans are like vulnerable. The technology is shaky at best.
Yeah. It's really weird. Flash loans are like, I've heard from people that, they've taken out like, I don't know, $1 million flash loans, things like this. And if you think about what a flash loan is, it's like a very, very short window where you're willing to take on an extreme amount of risk and then offload it for a gain. And so it's, this can like just collapse so quickly. I've seen Serene Miller. Serene, great question, actually, not a dumb question. So a flash loan is there's these protocols, much like Euler Finance. Essentially what they do is they allow you to take a loan of a massive amount of cryptocurrency to execute a trade, and then immediately afterwards close out that balance, and they take a small, let's say, interest fee. And so, you have people that are saying like, I want to make money off of like USDC arbitrage because USDC is 2 cents below USDT. I'm going to take a flash loan of $1 million out and then immediately, transact it on some other protocol, or maybe even the same protocol. And then the flash loan provisioner takes a portion of fees. But again, like, there's a lot to go wrong there. You're talking about real money that's custodially being transferred from one individual to another in some sort of shaky automated protocol on the back end. And so all these moving parts in the back end have been a fantastic attack vector. And this is why when you see a headline like hack from flash loans, it's not so surprising anymore. And, it's kind of like if you go to the bank and somebody like just hands you $1 million and then you immediately like, give it to your friend. They give you like some money back and then you give it back to the bank in the span of a couple seconds. That money's still trading hands, so it's very, very concerning.
It's not collateralized either.
It's not collateralized. That's the crazy part of it.
It's a smart contract.
So that doesn't even exist. Let's be honest. We've got a couple. Oh, sorry. Number one, Mixin Finance. Carmelo, do you know anything about Mixin Finance?
Never heard of it.
Yeah,
it just goes to show you, if you're going to hack somebody, do it in a year like 2023 when everybody forgets about everything.
It's kind of crazy. This is the biggest hack of 2023, and I haven't really heard of it, but it's a protocol based out of Hong Kong, I believe, peer-to-peer network. And there was a compromise of their third-party cloud service provider. This article said they drained $200 million of crypto assets from their mainnet. And so, like it's kind of crazy if you think about $200 million. It's known as the biggest hack of 2023, money-wise. But I guess because it's based out of Hong Kong, or maybe there's like not as many users globally, or it's a localized market, not many people have heard about it. So it's really strange.
Biggest hack of 2023 so far.
So far, yeah.
Absolutely.
But here's a couple that you guys might be more familiar with. Some honorable mentions. We've got Atomic Wallet, and so Atomic Wallet was completely compromised. I think I forget how that happened actually, but they ended up losing a lot of money. And so I think the article here that says that they're actually facing a lawsuit by some users, disgruntled users that lost money on the Atomic Wallet protocol. But yeah, I think they lost like $100 million.
And connected to Lazarus Group in North Korea.
That's right. Yeah, Lazarus has been busy, especially after Ronin. I guess they got some funding to expand their operations.
Yep. And yeah, I think it's somewhat similar to Ledger. Like, I don't think it's a non-custodial wallet, so you obviously don't actually hold funds in that, but it's connected enough to allow some vulnerabilities, which was obviously exploited.
Yeah, very disappointing. Lazarus Group, they're going to strike again. I guarantee it. The last honorable mention, you guys know it. You've heard it a couple times here before, Kyber Swap. And so, this is still, I think it's still ongoing, Carmelo. I don't think the company has responded to the hackers' demands of them completely forfeiting control and making him president of Kyber Swap. But yeah, still a crazy hack considering like the drama that's unfolded around it.
Yeah, and I think they paid a bounty and they still didn't resolve it.
Yeah, and I think the hacker walked away with, I think it was $60 million from the decentralized protocol. At the time it was a really good chunk of all of the assets that were sitting on this protocol. And then after that, there was a massive exodus of users taking funds off the protocol. So that $60 million the hacker walked away with ended up being the majority of assets that were once on that protocol. So the hacker then demanded that they give him the position of president of the company and hand over all access to the company. And then he like went to take a nap or something. So that was even more ridiculous.
Yeah, I think there's two missing here, maybe. One, I would argue that Ledger might be number one, not in terms of value stolen or lost, but the way it shook the faith of even really diehard crypto people. One thing I will say about that too is that I thought it was really beautiful how quickly the space rallied together. I saw everybody on Telegram, Twitter, everybody was warning each other not to use their wallets. So it kind of, and on one hand exposed crypto, but on the other, it showed like how strong the community aspect is. Like the end of the day, most people want to win and they want to see other people win. It's not a competition. So it was cool seeing like how quickly that message went out, like this alert system. I think it took like a half hour before everybody in crypto knew, which is pretty good timing, all things considered. And then I would say maybe one other honorable mention is Justin Sun Companies, because 2 of his exchanges got hacked in the last 2 months. So I think that was a couple $100 million as well, like in total.
Yeah. Justin Sun's not doing so well right now.
I think he's still doing pretty well.
Yeah, he's got Tron, I guess. That's the only one left.
He's the emperor of Turkey.
Oh, man, poor Turkey. Next category, guys, we've got the Welcome to Crypto Awards. And this is a category focused on adoption. Big companies coming into the space and starting to adopt cryptocurrency technologies. So for number 3, we have Disney making its way into the space and the NFT game more specifically. Carmelo, you know a little bit about this, right?
I've never heard of them. Who's Disney? I don't know. I thought Disney was already in the space last year. I think they were doing something with Polygon, but apparently this is the major news because they're working. They just launched their own platform. Wow. Yeah. And obviously, Disney has so much IP, especially after purchasing like Fox and Marvel and Star Wars. So the sky's the limit for the sort of NFTs they can launch on this platform. And also anybody, like a few of our clients, I think they want to negotiate deals with IP providers like Disney to incorporate them into their ecosystems for their metaverses or games or whatever. So now it's going to be maybe harder or maybe easier to do that because they're going to have an official path to do so.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I personally, I'm a pessimist. I have the feeling that Disney was trying to maybe throw a Hail Mary and step into the crypto industry after they announced the the closure of Disney Plus, right? Didn't they scrap Disney Plus?
No, Disney, like the streaming platform?
Yeah.
I didn't hear that. I think it's still good.
Well, maybe I'm misinformed. But anyways, I mean, coming into the space with a lot of IP, and Disney historically has been very protective of their IP. So, they're going to try and make a lot of money off of it. Number 2, we've got PayPal. We talked about this endlessly, but again, PayPal stepping into the space is hugely impactful for this industry. Whether you like it or not, it's going to bring a lot of users in, just like you said, Carmelo, with Shopify integrations, Etsy shops, eBay, all of these different PayPal integrations. All of a sudden, they have a new payment method that showed up. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, and there's others too. Like I think all of the major credit card providers are also doing something similar, like launching some sort of crypto-enabled cards.
Absolutely. And then number 1. Without further ado, we've got not a specific company in general, but institutional capital coming in to back the Ethereum ETF. And so, this is essentially all the different companies we talked about before. We've got BlackRock pursuing an iShares Ethereum ETF. This is going to pave the way, really. And once this happens, this is really going to kick off. I see Serene mentioned Stripe as well. Good call. There's a lot happening, right? It's kind of crazy.
I think everybody in 2024, it's going to be everybody else.
Yeah, we're not going to be able to do this again next year.
No, it'll be who hasn't joined crypto yet.
Yeah, right. It'll be like like the black sheep. Honorable mentions. We got Nike again stepping into the NFT space with their Kicks, and that was some pretty big news a few months back, right?
Yeah, they have their own platform now, like an NFT platform. I forgot what it's called, but they have some collections like that are sneaker, like digital sneaker. Oh yeah, that's it.
Crypto Kicks
Swoosh,
IRL.
Swoosh.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
And they've partnered with RTFKT, which is like a pretty notable NFT company. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was last year that they partnered up, but they've been doing a lot this year and giving, I don't know, I think sending like special sneakers to holders, but I don't know if they've done that yet or not.
I'll tell you what, I really like these sneakers. They look really nice if they're real. Oh yeah, they are real. Oh my god,
Yeah, they send them out.
that's
I don't know if
awesome.
they've sent them to anybody yet, but they say they will. They look like Back to the Future hoverboard shoes.
They do, man. That's the first thing I thought of actually. And then last but not least, honorable mentions, we got Ubisoft stepping into the arena with Immutable X partnership. Although Ubisoft has been announcing their presence in the crypto space for a few months now, I think just a few days ago, they released an NFT collection. It was a free mint for a game that they've launched already. And I think it's called, I've got it here, Champions Tactics. And so like they're pivoting hard into NFTs. They're pivoting hard into cryptocurrency. And that's very, very good for gaming because I mentioned this on this GameFi panel as well. When you have publicly traded companies like Ubisoft stepping into the cryptocurrency space, you know they're going to do it right. And ultimately, they may end up making the standard processes that builds the foundation of the industry because they can't afford to take on risk with shaky tokenomics or like, compliance controversy, etc. So this is really bullish news for the future of crypto and the future of GameFi, I believe.
Yeah, I think I think they've been hovering around, like maybe lurking in the background for quite some time, but they haven't. I think they still haven't like officially, or maybe it was with this announcement a few weeks ago with Immutable. That was their official announcement.
Yeah.
But up until then, it was kind of like an open secret in the industry that they were doing it. But I think at this point, every major gaming entity is in crypto one way or another. They're exploring the option, like Sony and Microsoft and Blizzard and all these. And I've been hearing even the trailer was leaked the other day for Grand Theft Auto 6, which is obviously one of the most famous games of all time.
Yeah.
And there's going to be possible crypto integration in the game, which is kind of crazy because that's not just any game. Like I think GTA 5 might be one of the best-selling games ever, and it's still widely played. So if you have crypto integration for GTA 6, that's as bullish as it gets for Web3 gaming.
Absolutely. All right. And so we've got another series here. We've got the Falling Off a Cliff Awards. We're talking about once vibrant and strong communities and cryptocurrency projects that literally fell off a cliff. Carmelo, what do you think is going to be on here, man?
Oof, I have no idea. Trying to think of
Let's go ahead and start. Woo! ApeCoin. So this is a funny one, guys, because the Bored Ape Yacht Club decided to launch a fungible native token for their ecosystem and also be integrated in their Ape DAO, essentially. And so I think the utilities were kind of shaky. They had governance. The Bored Ape Yacht Club community, there was a lot of cash and capital in their treasury. And ultimately, ApeCoin holders would be able to vote on allocation of that capital into different initiatives, etc. I think at one point they made Ape Water, which is just like, canned water. And that was the best they could do with like a $1 billion treasury. So obviously I'm a little biased. I think
Ape Water doesn't sound delicious at all.
It was just water. But, on Twitter, everyone was saying it was the most delicious water they had.
Ugh, Ape Water sounds so nasty.
Crazy. It does sound disgusting. But yeah, then we're talking about in 2023, an all-time high token price, I believe, of $35, all the way down to $1 now, and who knows what else. We're talking about an NFT community that was once one of the strongest, I think still one of the strongest in the space, if not the strongest.
They're still at the top.
And, launching a fungible token, and it seemed like a cash grab at that point. So we're not really sure how that's going to pan out, but it doesn't look like it's doing so well because they fell off a cliff.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how they do next year, but I think they still have the strongest community in NFTs. Like they're like the Hexicans of NFTs. You can't attack Yuga Labs without getting the showing the ire of their community and their holders.
This is true.
But I think ApeCoin is weird. It's a little bit different because obviously anybody can buy an ApeCoin. But it's a little bit different NFT. You got that tribalism. So not every NFT holder has ApeCoin, and not every ApeCoin holder has an NFT. So it's almost like its own different community. Obviously, there's heavy overlap, though. It's a Yuga product.
Yeah, like basically running on the branding at some point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 2, you mentioned it before, Huobi. Justin Sun's been taking some hits, man. Huobi Exchange, I think they had a hack, and as a result, like the token price went into the ground, fell off a cliff. And then Huobi, I believe, was they were instructed by regulators to shut down operations, so they ended up rebranding to HTX. Oof.
It's good because that name was always weird to me. Huobi.
Yeah, I didn't know how to pronounce it for the first year.
Huobi. Huobi.
And last but not least, you mentioned it, Carmelo, Hexicans.
No.
Hexicans had a rough year. Oh, man. So the Hex Army, the Hexican Army, and Hex and Pulse Chain, obviously, we talked about Richard Hart before when he ran away to Russia with over $1 billion of funds and liquidations from both Hex and Pulse X, the token for Pulse Chain. So Hexicans saw a very rough year. Token prices in the ground. The network is seemingly dormant, not so good. They take the number 1 spot for falling off a cliff. Sorry, Hexicans.
We're going to get assassinated now. Thank you.
Come at me. Come at me. Some honorable mentions. Obviously, we got to mention it. Ben.eth, our favorite shitcoin peddler, was, he launched, and I think it was 4 projects or three tokens throughout the year, and then got banned from Twitter. So although he fell off a cliff in the sense of his community doesn't seem to be doing so well, he's still sitting pretty with close to $10 million of ETH in his wallet from crowdsourcing funds, promising nothing and delivering close to nothing. So Ben.eth gets an honorable mention.
He delivered more than nothing. It's news to me.
I mean, I guess technically he just delivered additional pump and dump opportunities, but I don't know. If you guys are interested in learning more about Ben.eth, we've got a on-chain analytics YouTube video you can check out. It talks about his most recent launch before he was banned from Twitter. And the last honorable mention, Carmelo, take us away with BitBoy.
Oh yeah, they were working together on Ben coin. I think that was Ben.eth's first coin, and they both have the name Ben apparently. So they're like, that's how simple-minded they were. They're like, oh, you Ben too? I'm also Ben. Can we work together on Ben token? And then they had a brief honeymoon, and then they hated each other, and then they separated. And I think BitBoy, the guy on the right, this angry-looking gremlin, he bought Ben coin apparently and made it his own. And then they separated, and then Ben.eth went on to launch several other dumb, useless coins. And then, BitBoy was one of the biggest influencers, still is arguably one of the biggest influencers in the entire crypto or Web3 space. And he had a year, to say the least.
Yeah, absolute
he
meltdown.
Got kicked out of his company, was accused of being on drugs. He cheated on his wife with somebody he worked with. She filed for divorce. He live streamed himself getting arrested, trying to steal his Lambo back from one of his former business partners. And he looks totally unhinged. I don't know what he's doing now, but maybe he's humbled himself. I'm not sure. But yeah, he had a hell of a year. And I think he still thinks of himself as a superhero that protects crypto, but I would argue he's one of the biggest criminals in the space. And yeah, time will tell.
Absolutely. I put him up there with Richard Hart. He's number 1. And then Ben number 2.
Yeah, but like Richard Hart is at least smart,
Yeah, he knew the tech. BitBoy didn't know the tech at all. I think he just yelled about Bitcoin going up and down, and then unhinged rants and then meltdowns.
Yep.
But anyways, man, that was a lot, dude. That was a lot to go through in this recap. And, I'm wondering like what the next year's recap is going to look like as well, because it seems like with every passing year in crypto, more and more happens.
The number 1 story of 2024 will be like Arcane Adventures is the best VC of all time, and it designs so many token economies.
Yeah, Arcanum Ventures raising a massive ecosystem fund for projects that deserve it.
It's a nice thesis.
Yeah, I like that. That's a
You
really
look like
good
you
one.
deserve money. Take money.
So, yeah, with that being said, dude, we're going to go into our last segment of the night. We're going into bullish, and we're going to do it special this time because it's just you and me, and we've got a whole new year coming up. We don't have any other podcast planned for the rest of the year. We're taking a break, guys. We're signing off. We're going to have some fun for once, and we'll see you again in January. But what we're going to do before that is we're going to tell you each 3 narratives we are bullish on in 2024. Would you like me to go first, or would you like to go first?
Yeah, we can alternate if you want to go first. But first,
That's okay.
like and subscribe and do all the things before you hear our predictions, our bullishness for next year. So, yeah, I yield the floor, good sir.
All right. The first thing I'm bullish on, again, I talked about it before, is AI integration into GameFi. And so the idea of, or just gaming in general, I suppose, but GameFi is going to be really big because there's more action, really. But the idea of, for example, artificial intelligence powered NPCs, landscape development, narrative and story, all sorts of different aspects. I think AI is going to play a huge role in gaming, and it's going to ultimately, the reason I'm bullish on this is because AI being used in gaming is solely to improve the user experience. And that is always going to make a better product. It's not going to like help you trade crypto better or do whatever financial things better or run your company better in gaming. It's going to improve the actual gamer experience. And that's why I'm really bullish on AI in gaming.
That's a cool answer. It's better than my answer.
What do you got?
I was just going to say NFTs. Bullish on NFTs. No, but jokes aside, I heard some interesting things today and yesterday that NFTs are the most underrepresented asset in Web3. And I think 5 to 10% of a portfolio for most people is made up of NFTs, maybe even less. So, most people don't even own NFTs. And the crypto space, like we're going to see another boom of NFTs for sure. So picking up blue chips right now and monitoring the space and having a way to identify which ones are going to take off. Like if you look at Pudgy Penguins right now, they exploded. Like they're more valuable than any NFT, and they hit all-time high. They doubled in the last few months. They're launching projects, their own metaverse. They're selling swag and stuffed animals in Walmarts. Like that's some heavy BD. That's not typical for a Web3 or especially an NFT company. So I'm looking to NFTs to be, one of the biggest narratives next year. It's going to be the thing. It was the thing last time around too that attracted a lot of interest from normal people. So I think it's not going to be any different this time.
Man, that's a controversial one. I kind of agree, but I don't want it to be true. And so I have this idea that like it's just going to be like fueled by speculation and stuff. But you're probably right. NFTs are going to make a comeback. As far as like PFP NFTs.
No, all of them. But yeah, PFPs are not going anywhere. Like there's still a lot of bad ones, but once more reputable brands or people that have built stuff before start launching collections, digital art, tokenized, fractionalized digital art.
Yeah,
I think that's NFTs in general. And obviously we pointed to all these token standards before in the last segment. There's more use cases by the day for NFTs. So NFT as a medium, as a non-fungible asset as a whole, I'm bullish on. But I'm talking specifically about NFT monkey pictures next year. Penguins, fat penguins, and weird monkeys, and
oh man, fat penguins are the best, actually.
Spicy robots, and all of them.
Spicy robots. All right, I guess my number 2 is probably comes as no surprise to our viewers. It's kind of like team boring blockchain, but real estate tokenization. RWAs, yeah, but real estate tokenization, I'm really bullish on. I think the infrastructure is getting there. And I think like with the volatility in not only the cryptocurrency markets, but inflation and volatility in fiat currencies globally, people are going to start to think about, what can I buy that's sort of like a currency, but it's a little bit more stable as a hedge. And you're going to have it's not going to be the majority of people, but you're going to have some like responsible risk averse investors. And they're going to love the idea of buying some cryptocurrency or money that's backed by buildings and real estate that like don't really move in value very much. And so I think that's going to be pretty big. It's going to feed a massive demand that's been there for a while. Most people can't buy real estate. They don't have the money. And all of a sudden they're going to be able to buy some real estate. So I think it's going to be a huge one.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm still a little doubtful on that because it heavily depends on local jurisdiction and laws. But yeah, the idea itself I'm really bullish about. Eventually it will be a thing. It's just a matter of when.
Hopefully soon. We'll see.
Okay, what's my second one? I think my second one is modular blockchains and layer 3s.
Ooh.
Like I'm talking really hyper specialized blockchains that, like, let's say you have a company with 200 people and you want your own blockchain for storage and communication that's private, encrypted, secure. Maybe we're going to see more specialized blockchains that are easier than ever to launch. You don't have to be a crypto degen or a genius to launch these. You just maybe have your IT person will have to be knowledgeable in this area and be able to set up a network for your building or your corporation. And games will have their own. I think I saw some layer 3 companies like layer 3 as a service, which is another layer on top of layer 2s. But it's like if your game needs its own layer 3, like its own native blockchain just for in-game assets. So I think we're going to start seeing a lot of this too, and that's going to contribute to TVL on both the underlying L2 and the layer 1, which is more likely Ethereum. So that's going to be pretty big next year, I think. Like in the short term, I could say DePIN. I think that'll have its time in the sun, but I don't think it's going to be as long-lived a narrative as tokenization or modular blockchains. Like those are more long-lasting.
Oh man, I think that was a really good one, and something that I haven't thought of in a little while. But you're absolutely right. That takes the blockchain narrative directly into what we talk about all the time. That like crypto and blockchain should be thought of as a feature and not a product. And so all of a sudden, like when cable internet came out, DSL and modem lines were obsoleted, and then business was able to run much more efficiently. I think that's what blockchain is going to do for a lot of businesses. It's going to make things more safe, secure, and efficient. So yeah, this idea of like modular blockchains is a really good idea. I think my last one, this is kind of boring, but DAOs in general. I think we haven't seen anyone crack the code around governance quite well enough yet. There's a lot of DAOs that exist, and I mean, going back to ApeCoin, I'm not bullish on generalized DAOs, because if you give 1 million people a massive treasury of $1 billion, nothing's going to happen. No one's going to, propose anything helpful or useful, especially decentralized where everyone's an anonymous picture of a monkey. So like there's no one that's going to be able to like get the kind of clout or esteem or, confidence from the community as a leader to make decisions. But all of a sudden, if you have like micro DAO structures or specialized DAOs, then you can have some robust governance features that can align everyone towards like a common mission. And I think someone's going to crack the code on like the perfect governance voting right structure. We've been doing a lot of work on that personally. And in a way, I guess I'm kind of plugging ourselves. Like maybe we're the ones to do it in 2023 or 2024. I think we probably will. We've already done a couple of really cool DAOs. But yeah, I think we've grown the company quite a bit in 2023. So 2024 is going to be great. And maybe we help really break through on DAOs. So that's my last bullish area for me in 2024.
And I'm bullish on Arcanum Ventures and I think my last one will be a mix of not just SocialFi, I hate the name by the way, but like decentralized social media and privacy protocols, because I think we need both. I don't know, nobody's cracked the code quite yet on privacy too, but it kind of alluded to that with ZK's we need a way to showcase transparency while also maintaining privacy for the small. So, being able to remain anonymous within good reason, and not like, obviously, if you incite terror or you're doing something shady or horrible on the internet or on social media, you deserve to be penalized. But otherwise, people deserve their privacy, their anonymity. I can't say that word. But yeah, I think social finance and social networks, we still haven't seen that be cracked yet. I'm hoping that maybe Lens Protocol cracks it with their social graph. And yeah, we'll see. It's not going to be Friend Tech probably.
Man, I'm really bullish on SocialFi just for the fact that I want to see a platform get completely canceled by like some like far right wing or far left wing person saying really inflammatory things. So yeah,
we already have that. We have like Rumble and what's Donald Trump's Truth.
no, like just like I want to see like a platform completely devolve into like a den of like sin. So that's why I'm bullish on SocialFi. I want to see like these things actually happen where like no one can moderate anything. But I like that one as well. I think it's a very good point. Well, man, this is it. Really, this is the Boom Room podcast. We started in 2023. It's the last one of the year. And again, I want to thank all of our viewers, all of our supporters for watching and supporting us. I mean, we're not really on here shilling a lot of things. I think we're just having fun speaking to really interesting guests, talking about cool topics, things that interest us, and different developments in the space. And so we really appreciate all of you guys and ladies and everybody just tuning in and taking some time to be here with us and hang out with us. It's been a pleasure so far. And I'm pretty sure we're going to continue this podcast well into the future until we hit episode 21 when we rage quit to game that statistic. But yeah, thanks again, everybody. Carmelo, any parting words, dude, for 2023 before we take vacation?
Yeah, touch grass, enjoy the holidays, be with your family. Crypto's not going anywhere. So, I'm looking forward to rejuvenating and feeling whole for the next year, because we're going to be working somehow more than we've been working the last 2 years. We've been working a lot. So looking forward. I'm bullish on rest and relaxation, and I encourage everybody else to do the same. There's nobody's fundraising or doing anything right now. Like, I'm sure some people say they are, but let's be real. So happy holidays, everybody, and enjoy time with your friends and your family, and yeah, do all this holiday stuff. Watch bad Christmas movies. Watch Die Hard.
Yeah, eat turkey, eat pies.
Turkey.
Yeah. I eat turkey for Christmas.
So boring.
How dare you?
Come on, your family's eating way better stuff than turkey, I bet.
Well, you'd be surprised. It's amazing. Well, guys, thanks again. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Happy holidays to you, Serene. Happy holidays to everybody. I hope you enjoy your time with your family. And see you next year when crypto really picks back up. Ciao, y'all. Bam.